Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming to our ZEAL Remote Working Networking event. And for all of you on Facebook, hi. We'd like to go ahead and get started with this. We're going to have a little bit of Q&A. Eric, our founder of ZEAL, is going to go ahead and question our panelists. And if you have any questions or anything like that, we'll be answering Facebook questions and questions in the audience for anybody who has them, but just wait and hold off on those until the end. I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Eric, and he can introduce our panel.
Good evening. Thank you guys for joining, tuning in. We are excited to be able to have a constructive conversation here about what remote working looks like. If any of you have had to leave the office and are working from home, from the base of the cubicle, or actually had the opportunity to go and travel and work elsewhere, you know it can be a little daunting. There's a lot of troubleshooting. Where do you go? How do you find the right information, people, places? And it can be all over the place. So ZEAL is looking to connect and unify all of this disparate information under one app. And with that, we're looking to have a conversation with some experienced people that have traveled all over the world, have hotels, businesses, and experience. So from left to right, why don't we start with your name, how many countries you've been to, and I want to hear one of your favorite unexpected moments of traveling. Good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. Share something memorable, whatever came to mind. Start with Chris. I don't know if we actually need the mic for all this.
They might be able to. So my name is Chris Ward. My background was U.S. Army, so I served for 11 years, of which I spent 4 of those years overseas. So that counts as remote working.
Yes.
Nothing else does.
Absolutely.
But the bug didn't stop there. I caught the bug, and for the last 15 years, I've been business owner working around the world. I continue to work around the world, primarily in India, but I do a lot of work in Central South America, and looking to expand on that. So my goal is to spend 3 months out of my year overseas, currently at about a month and a half to 2 months. And one of the most interesting things was probably in Doha right now when I went through Qatar. Was recently I spent 2 weeks in Nepal back in August, and we went through, did everything that travelers do. You want to read and find out what are the current travel restrictions, what do we have to accomplish before we go. So I got, my vaccinations, I went and got my COVID test within 75 hours of my trip, but when I got there, they said, well, we need one that's 75 hours from when you left, and my time had already run up, so I had to get another COVID test, and then they do a state tracking. So not only do you get your test, but you have to track the time in your state. This is a 6-hour layover. I just want to come in for dinner. And, that was it. And so I had to download the app, but you could not download the app unless you had a SIM card from Qatar. So I had to go to the store, get a SIM card, go download the app, download my place into it. And so what I thought was just going to be a quick run out of the airport, grab dinner, and come back, took me 2.5 hours to get out of the airport, drive to a location, have dinner, come back just to check in and leave. And so the idea of what we think of as a restriction or not before we leave changes dramatically once you get on the ground. So that was my most interesting one.
As soon as you get in the air, they change it on you.
Oh yeah, they changed it immediately.
Chris, there one.
My name is Anastasia Zadashpour, and I'm an author. I just recently published a book, Love, A Manual for Humanity. And I'm also a business owner. I own a boutique lodge in Costa Rica, in Montezuma, Sunshine Sanctuary. So it's beautiful. I'd love for all of you guys to come and join me. I've traveled in 48 countries. And I think that one of the most outstanding experiences in my travel life has been, I was in Petra in Jordan, kind of wandering around with a friend of mine, and invited by a Bedouin camel herder into the desert. And so my friends and I ended up getting in the back of a pickup truck, going into Wadi Rum, into the desert, and having a total blast with a bunch of Bedouin camel herders dancing around in the desert. It was amazing. So yay Jordan, and yay wild adventures, unexpected. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Hello, my name is Brett Ogan, and I have been to about 100 countries, more or less. I have been working at an energy company the last 16 years. Prior to that, I was living and working in different countries. I've lived in Venezuela, Poland, Denmark, and a few other countries as well. So let's see, a fun experience. One time I was in Thailand and stayed at a Buddhist monastery for a night. Thought it would be just one night, but I ended up spending quite a bit of time with them. And similarly, they kind of took me in, and we became the best of friends, as it felt like at the time. And there's always one adventure waiting for you when you travel. So.
That's right. There is always an adventure, unexpected and unforgettable. Speaking of unforgettable, let's start out with a fire round real quick. There's always something in your luggage, your backpack that you forget. We have that dreaded shame of, uh-oh, and you gotta buy it, or maybe they don't even have it in the country you're going to. Let's talk about one thing that you accidentally forgot and how imperative that was. What's something you can't live without? Maybe a personal travel experience, just something that you were like, every time, doesn't matter whether it's 2 days, 2 months, gotta bring it. Let's go back and start with Brett.
I've been pretty good lately, but I would say one thing that I always forget in the past is a adapter for whatever electric current and plug is in that country. So I now have one that has pretty much every country on Earth in
The
one.
Swiss Army knife one?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So,
Okay, so I learned that lesson early on. I keep my adapter with my passport and my credit card. But I have left my bathing suit too many times, and pens.
yeah, that's good.
You need to fill out the immigration card. No, that's a great way to make a friend.
Right.
I was working in Gujarat, India, and it was my Apple laptop charging cable, which I did not realize they make like 5 of them in India. And so it was $150, and I scoured the earth. I was working in Gujarat, couldn't find anything in Ahmedabad or Gandhinagar. And then I went to Delhi, drove all over the city to find one shop, $150 that I had to buy an Apple laptop charger while I was there.
Normally $20 here.
I think that probably $50.
For Apple, they're probably.
But it was $150
Yeah,
because there's one cable in all of India.
You got the last one.
I got the last one.
There you go. Supply and demand. Awesome. Let's talk about the one thing that you can't live without again. And we hit the oops, forgot. What about the thing that you need when you're traveling, when you're working? What are some of your go-to favorite? It could be a few items. That adapters are a great one. Power banks. The like. What are some of the things when it comes to now actually being productive, getting immersed in the culture? You gotta have no matter where you go, whether it's cold, wet, rainy, or not. Let's start with Anastasia. Let's mix it up.
Sure. Well, owning a business in Costa Rica and traveling there quite a bit, it's Wi-Fi. It's always Wi-Fi, and it's everything. It's getting around, maps, even Google Translate when you don't know a word or a phrase or something. Finding out what the best hotel is, or the best restaurant, or even calling an Uber or anything. So I think that if there was one thing I would take with me and create a bubble around myself, it would just be Wi-Fi.
It's a rain poncho. Because most countries, they'll advertise when a monsoon season starts and finishes, but it changes every single year by 2 to 3 weeks. So I've gone to all over the world, and when I'm thinking that I'm going to get sunny, hot, clear weather, and I have my swim trunks, I should have had a rain poncho. And so that was my always have with me in my bag.
was going to say what you said, Anastasia, but I would also say, actually, and this is more on the leisure side, is a really good portable speaker. I just never really did that until this last trip, and it was so worthwhile every night. TV usually isn't that great, and if you're just trying to relax, a good, really good sounding portable speaker.
Those are all great answers. When it comes to actually finding places, you hit the nail on the head, like Wi-Fi is key, it's water. And if you're working and you don't have that, you're out of luck. And so how, when it comes to finding a place to work, when it comes to actually getting it done, right? What does that look like? How do you find a cafe, a hotel? Because not all of them have the appropriate accommodations, and it can be a little bit of an undertaking to find a co-working space or a cafe that doesn't have a 2-hour time limit. What does that look like for you guys to be able to actually now be productive so you can play and go and immerse yourself and enjoy the destination?
Come down here. I'm a huge advocate, probably because of my age of travel or TripAdvisor. So I went through and read all the, because there's a lot of remote workers now, and one of the most important things that I have to do is make sure that I do my presentations online. I'm in sales, so I have to have Wi-Fi in order to be in business. And so I read through, I don't like all of the, because a lot of people, I was telling Brett earlier, some people will say, well, I'm in Mexico and they're complaining because of the humidity. They're like, oh, I'm on a beach resort and it smells like fish. I'm like, well, you're on the beach. It's going to smell like fish. But I look at things like, what is the Wi-Fi access like? And is it sturdy enough? And I call the venue, but the venue is always going to lie. They're going to be like, oh, we have Wi-Fi available through the whole property. I'm like, until I get there. So I would recommend is look at third party. There's a lot of those websites, which I'm glad this new one's available to us. Look at those and see other people that have attended this and how they speak about the Wi-Fi in those particular venues.
I would definitely double down on everything that you said, brilliant. And I've had to stop in the middle of San Jose, like at Hilton or something, and just be like, oh my God, I need to just sit here for a couple hours. And they've always been kind, maybe I shouldn't even say that. But I would say some of the more established businesses are usually dependable. And yeah, I think TripAdvisor, I don't think I would add anything to that.
My last trip I used Booking, and I kind of compared it with a few other travel sites, and I always felt they were a little bit better. But so in terms of just having access, definitely understand the country you're going to, and some countries are really well developed and have great infrastructure. Others, you really do have to find that one needle in a haystack kind of Hilton or a nice hotel to really be sure you're going to get something. But as much preparation before, just in terms of just understanding, is this going to be a problem, or is it going to be pretty widespread kind of connections and things? So.
Actually, I have one thing I would add. Getting a SIM card for your phone wherever you go is
that's great.
Gold. So research that beforehand, figure out what your plan is in the US before you go. If you do need a new SIM card, trade it out. Often you can get it at the airport, if not usually within a couple blocks at the airport. And that's been gold for me.
If I could just add, I went, I bought a very expensive plan, international plan, and I thought that'd be the best route, but I ended up at the country just realizing you could buy a SIM card for a fraction of the cost and refill it pretty easily. And almost every shop in any country you're in is going to have a SIM card. So, and they work fairly well. So
that is a great transition into what are some of the tips and tricks around productivity when it comes to Zoom or communication apps. What are some of the shortcuts that people can take to be able to be more efficient, more productive, so that they actually can get through their work and go play?
It really depends on your objective, and in general, when you're traveling and working, it's really important to set like a schedule and maintain it, and kind of do check-ins on yourself. you want to have that blend of travel and leisure, or leisure and work, and sometimes you could go too far one direction or the other. So doing those check-ins. What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
Just tips and tricks around being productive.
Oh, obviously, Zoom meetings, you really want to go, plan ahead and make sure that you're in a well-connected place, that you're not going to have trouble. Be very careful with things like time zones and just some of those like little things that are easy to forget. I do find, especially if you work for a corporate company and you're traveling, you really have to go an extra step to make sure that you come across as somebody that's easily reachable and productive when you're gone. So it could include responding very quickly to emails. Often in many countries, especially the big cities, phones seem to work pretty well, but certainly in some places they don't. But I think just, again, preparation.
So timing, I noticed when I'm in Costa Rica, the sunrise is really early and sets really early. So I get up super early, get a super productive work cycle in like before breakfast. And then usually there's like a tapering off around siesta, which is very productive. And so I always try to Zoom meetings, for instance, turn off all my apps, every single thing on the computer, and then it's a lot more, reliable. And other tricks, make sure that you're in a secure place where no one's going to talk to you. Because I do notice if I'm in a cafe or something, there will inevitably be awesome music or TV program or someone wanting to connect or something like that. So privacy if you need to focus.
I'd say get accustomed to using WhatsApp. So largely for the last 15 plus years ago, WhatsApp started to grow in ferocity in Asia. And I kind of ignored it for the better part of a decade because it was just not used in the United States. And now I see that a lot of our online is like Facebook business and such that are trying to ask you to integrate WhatsApp chat and calling in your business practice. And so if you get accustomed to using WhatsApp and get your customers and clients accustomed to using WhatsApp in the United States, the transition when you go overseas and you have to make those calls and send those texts over WhatsApp, it'll make it so much simpler. So that's my 2 cents.
Oh my gosh, I cannot overemphasize WhatsApp. WhatsApp business, yes.
Yes, nobody uses text to run.
The idea of time blocking is a huge one. I always found myself doing either morning till 2 or 3, go surf, go scuba dive, whatever, or work a few days and take one completely off for those big adventures that you want to go maybe a few hours out of town or just completely detach. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of remote working, is it allows for that. We talked about some of the negative aspects or the harder parts to be able to troubleshoot, but there's a lot of really rewarding parts of this lifestyle. Let's shed some light on what are some of the things that remote working allows you to do that you otherwise wouldn't have had. What are some of those experiences, moments, connections that keep you coming back and wanting, yearning for this lifestyle on the next trip? Ladies first.
What a great question, and thank you. This is the part of ZEAL that's most important and exciting to me, is the cultivation of community, international community, and us becoming global citizens. And in so doing, we understand each other, we understand culture, politics, religion, different economic possibilities and perspectives. So we become enlightened when we interact in different societies and cultures. So the benefits of working remotely are innumerable. I mean, really, it would be impossible to put your finger on all of them, but learning about different environments and just the expansion of awareness, I think cultivates a much more intelligent and unique perspective individually. And whenever you come back to the US, you're going to bring a huge variety of different perspectives and understandings. Great stories, obviously. But just getting to know people, different kinds of foods, different ways of doing things. I mean, I always am so profoundly moved by, oh my gosh, I would never think to do it that way. And so I feel like I expand tremendously every time I go on a trip or I visit another culture or really engage with another community. So I think learning and learning and learning.
One of my greatest irritations is working remotely is when people think you're on vacation. And I'm like, I am just living my life in a different geographical location, but I'm still putting in the work. Now, we all know this, especially as business owners, is that we can compress the workday. So a lot of people are accustomed to you working 8 hours in a day, but half of the workforce is only working about 50% of that. Anyway, so if you were, truth be told, if you could compress your workday into a 3 or 4 hour window, you can go off and enjoy wherever that you're at. And so that's what I do. I want to make sure that because I grew up in a very small town in mid-Missouri where our access to stimuli was limited at best. And I always thought that the best way to learn about a place was to dive in. So when I went to Egypt, I spent a week in Cairo. I hired an Egyptologist. I worked it was called, and this is the plug for the Pyramid View Hotel. My window, when I opened up the screen, stared right into the Sphinx's eyes.
Nice.
And you want to talk about surreal, waking up in the morning, having a cup of coffee and looking at the Sphinx? That changes your perspective on things. But being able to crawl through the pyramids and have an Egyptologist take you up and down the Giza and teach you firsthand is far above and beyond anything you're ever going to learn in a high school or a college setting. But I'm working. So when people look at me and they're like, oh, how's your vacation? I'm like, I'm not. I'm just living my life. And I think once more people identify that as saying, I'm not trying to break away from my life. I'm just trying to enjoy my life in a different geographical location with different people. That is going to be, I think it's going to change our society, honestly. So that's it.
You guys both spoke very well, and I echo everything you guys said. I would add, and similar to what you said, is it's endless opportunity, endless expansion, endless growth. If you learn, say, 6 to 10 things on a regular day in America, you may learn 600 things on a regular day there. One thing that I always come away with is how beautiful and kind the world is. 99.9% of these people, and what they do in ways that most Americans, myself very much included, would never think to do for somebody who's just wandering aimlessly in a new country. The world is truly a beautiful place, and every country has its own little, version of that, but they all do. And here when you're in America, it's beautiful. You have your friends, but when you're gone, it truly is this growing experience that you just can't get, any other way. One other thing I might just add for those that can do this is, you could Airbnb your house and you could pay for your trips. There's a lot of financial opportunity when you're traveling. There's a lot of, even if you're just working for a U.S. company, but you're also kind of in the back of your mind, is there opportunity? And this, where I am, there's a lot of ways financially to grow as well.
Thank you guys for sharing some beautiful insights about remote working, travel, your experience with it. That is one of my favorite parts about travel, is the community. Whether it's in your backyard or you're around the world, people are so willing to be able to connect with you, to share their experience, places to go, a bed, a meal. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a common uniter for us. And ZEAL is looking to do just that, bridge and connect people in ways and experiences and products and resources that they have yet to have before, or just disparate or isolated. And so the same spirit that you guys are sharing that we're feeling here is what we're honing in and tapping in with ZEAL is unifying people in a way to be able to share these experiences. So for those that are tuning in, for those that are live that want to continue the conversation, that's the lovely thing about travel. People want to give, they want to share, they can get in touch with Chris, Anastasia, or Brett through our Facebook, can be in touch, follow Sunshine Sanctuary, Chris with Legal Shield, and what Brett's up to is on his next adventure and where he is at in the world. We're gonna go and show the video of ZEAL here. We are working to unite remote workers on Kickstarter. We have the tech, the platform, and the ability to centralize this conversation. We just need to add some of the functionality that will enable and connect remote workers in this last little stretch. And so to give you a glimpse and understanding of what ZEAL is about and what we're looking to create, I'm going to give you a little look into what ZEAL is about. I'm going behind the camera here, so hopefully you're still able to hear this, but this should give you a little more color about ZEAL.
Have you ever thought about what it would be like to live, work, and play remotely around the world's most exotic locations? With the recent impact of COVID, there has been a large global shift and wide acceptance of entrepreneurs, as well as corporate workforces, making the transition to going remote. Yet, many aspirational remote workers have too many concerns to take the lead. How is it possible? Is it safe? Where would I go? Will I have reliable internet to work? And who will I hang out with? Even then, there is still one major issue. Where does everyone go to connect, communicate, collaborate? Where can you go to learn about the variety of accommodation options, emerging programs, groups, and retreats that are developing around, for, and by remote workers? There simply is no united online community built for travelers to reliably connect and seamlessly plan their remote experiences. Until now, ZEAL is poised to become the world's largest online community for working remotely, but we need your help. We are bringing together the know-how, regional information, accommodations, and needed products and services for remote workers, removing all the guesswork and uncertainty. With ZEAL, you now have the resources and time to confidently and comfortably work, play, and connect with other travelers, businesses, attractions, and experiences across the world, from surfing in Costa Rica to the beaches of Greece and the stunning landscapes of Bali. We are enabling travelers to rate and explore the hotels, internet cafes, and remote working locations that fit their personal needs and lifestyle, while providing an easy platform to connect like-minded travelers based on their favorite interests and activities. Whether you're looking to travel for a month or a year, imagine having every question answered, every concern solved, and every barrier removed that is stopping you from living your international dream lifestyle. The founders of ZEAL have an extensive background in hospitality, working internationally with boutique hotels. They have a deep passion to connect people and experiences. Together, we are elevating remote living and making it more accessible to all. Our team is comprised of seasoned travelers who have navigated the digital nomad lifestyle personally, with a combined 28 plus years remotely across the collective 146 countries and counting. We've faced the pitfalls, issues, and problems of working remotely and are wielding ZEAL to solve them all. With your help, we can create the perfect online community and platform of locations and remote workers who want more from life, while helping grow and stabilize impacting tourist-based economies. Support the ZEAL community as a founding member, and you'll receive access to our approved accommodations, unique benefits, exclusive discounts, events to our growing network of partner hotels, brands, and sponsors. Don't be jealous of those living this life. Be zealous and take charge of your remote working and living lifestyle. Join us. Go remote. Go ZEAL.
Nice. So we are, oh, there we go. We are live. So we are currently on Kickstarter and we are building a community for remote workers. If you know people that are remote working or have the ability to go remote, they're avid travelers, expats, you might be a stay-at-home mom or a newly empty nester. These are all people that we're having wonderful conversations about how do you have the resources, the people, community to go remote work around the world. So if this is a lifestyle, something you're already doing and are wanting to be able to go again for a week, a month, a year, come connect with us. We'd love to have a conversation. We want to be able to do a lot of thought leadership and education just as we have here, giving little tips, tricks, insights that will help you have a more seamless experience, because that connection, those moments, that's what it's about. And ZEAL is going to enable you to go remote and have the time of your life.
Thank you.